We're back. We haven't done one of these where we haven't been half buzzed or half in the bag in like a good long while.
This is intense. You might get an actual answer to your question.
Well, we're always honest.
Well, yeah, but sometimes you don't answer the question. Sometimes you get off on a tangent. And it's like, what was the question again? Oh, right, my favorite color is yellow. My favorite number is 2.
I see what you're saying.
The first item that I ever owned in my whole life was a hand-knitted mouse named Mr. Mouse that I got from my Auntie Irene. I still have it.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's the end of the video.
See ya.
No, we've got some Ask Me Anythings.
Shit.
It's important to let the people know.
Okay.
They're the people. They have to know.
Right.
Okay, first question.
Hit me with it.
Dolphin Mother Asked Jesus.
Dolphin Jesus.
Yeah, he asks, and this is a little bit of a content creation question, so this is an important one for the people to know. Between Architect, Tapped Out, Moxfield, etc., are there deck hosting sites that we prefer and do deck building sites when decks come in? Does that impact whether we choose the deck or not? First one, which do you prefer?
I like Architect now, I think, just because it's very visually easy to see what's going on and mousing over things. It just works a little better. I was a Tapped Out fan for quite a while, but
my decks are still on Tapped Out, and I know that's where they are, so it's like, eh.
I find this site to be a little bit finicky sometimes. And it won't load, it crashes lots.
It seems like it's outdated, like it was built in like 2013 or 2010 and it's never been updated ever. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with it. I just like using Architect and I like the custom categories and I prefer it when people send in decks on Architect. It won't stop me from picking a deck to do on the show. And I've never used Moxfield in my entire life.
Yep, I've seen decks and we've used decks on Moxfield that I've loaded up, or we use Tapped Out. What we won't use decks if you send them in is copy and paste.
Yeah, like an HTML file or like just a list.
Or in the body of like an email. Yeah. What we won't use is like a picture of a piece of paper that you've written down all the names on. It's just too hard for us to do some of the stats and just to know how it's all categorized.
Both of those things have happened. Yeah. And we appreciate you sending a list and taking the time to write all that shit down. But sorry, guys.
Lots of people actually still build decks that way.
Hell yeah.
Old school style, right?
Yeah, I still write stuff down in a book, and that's how I keep track of mana, and that's how I build my mana bases.
You gotta fucking write more shit down in books so you remember it. That's like I tell them all the time.
Don't tell me how to live my life.
Don't tell me what to do. Okay, next question.
Ooh.
This is from Emo Feeling Fiendin on Discord.
Okay.
How do you guys choose who goes first in a non-COVID era game? And I think we should tackle COVID era game on Spell Table too, because you had some good points.
In COVID era game, it works just the same as in real life. You roll the dice, pick who goes first. If you're on Spell Table, there's a randomized player option. You just randomize 3 times. Boom.
Yeah. I don't play on Spell Table because my internet can't handle the video interchange that Spell Table uses, but on Zoom or Whereby or whatever, I just roll a d6, I hold it up to the camera like this so everybody can see it, and everybody holds theirs up, highest number goes first. If 2 people have the same number, you roll again until you have a winner. When we play with the CCO Dude Bros, typically if you get knocked out and you're sitting drinking beer and eating fucking Smitty's mixed up chip bowl, you kind of draw your next hand, and the expectation is that people play a similar power deck that you're playing in the future game, and you might draw your hand and play your first card face down like you've already played your turn, and then we just go around in turn order or switch tables and fucking I've already played my first turn type thing.
We've already gone first. Typically, I think at the beginning of the night, a lot of the times what we'll do is goblin rules. So whoever gets their hand first just goes first.
Yeah, lots of times when people are still showing up, lots of chips are being opened, beer's putting into the fridge, somebody's crumpling up a McDonald's bag and throwing it in the garbage. So if somebody's ready, they say, this is where I'm sitting, and they start playing.
Yeah. And then you just catch up. I've already played my first 2 turns. You guys go ahead and you keep up. Or somebody's trying to get ready real fast and everybody's on turn 2, 3 and you just play in a vacuum. Because we're all friends. And in real life, I think that's fine. However you do it, there's no right way. There's no wrong way as long as everybody's playing Magic.
Yeah. You know what? The right way, if you're at your LGS or at an event, remember those?
Oh, yeah.
If you're at one of those locations playing with even your friends there, you do want to I think for us, it's important to set an example. So if we sit down and we want to have the Rule Zero conversation or whatever, and then we should all roll dice, right? Like if I'm playing with even people that I know, I'll still roll a dice just because it's a common courtesy. It's like holding a door or saying thank you, right?
You roll the dice kind of behind your hand like it's a DM screen, and then you just nudge it so it's a really high number, and then you show it to everybody.
No.
Not that I would ever do that.
Okay, and this is one that we actually had to think about.
This was a hard question.
This is from Big Dick Mother Ass Jones. What commanders do you like that are in colors that you're soft on?
Ooh. Now, fun story about this. If you followed me on Twitter at any point, you might have noticed that recently I posted my commander color breakdown. Mm-hmm. I have 19 decks as of the recording of this video.
That's getting there, eh?
And 15 of them include red. So you know where I'm coming from. The colors that I am by far the most soft on are white and blue. Mm-hmm. But in white, there is Runetail, who I still have half of it in another deck that I'm playing in my Jump Start Commander.
You got Half-Tail.
I have Half-Tail. I really like Runetail. I had it together for a long time. It just wasn't doing as well as I wanted it to. It performed fine, but it just wasn't up to the power level of my group that I play in. So I had to take it apart.
I remember you playing it, and I always think, I don't know why I never said, but I always thought, why are you playing this? You obviously don't like doing it, or like are you a sadist? Like what the fuck, right? Like I always thought that it wasn't a deck that was very fun, and maybe if you do your 50 here and your 50 here Jumpstart Commander pile, and we kind of just Rule Zero kind of some shitty 2 partners that aren't partners,
then it's cool.
It's cool, yeah.
It's a cool ass deck now. Chris Von Doom, I'm sorry I turned all your lands into mountains and then blew them up.
I wouldn't be sorry.
I'm not really sorry. I just like to say that.
Yeah, and I mean, Chris Von Doom, he deserves to have his land blown up.
That's right.
Like, fuck him.
Also in white and blue, we talked about it in another video recently. Noyan Dar is the merfolk that whenever you play an instant or sorcery, it turns one of your lands into a dude. Because I wanted to turn the Azorius land into dude deck.
Yeah, I don't know if that video is out yet.
I tried so hard to make that happen. Ryan.
He tried so hard to like make me remember what it was without saying it, and I just didn't know. Yeah, and didn't know what card it was.
And it was a catastrophe, but I tried really hard. I really liked that card, but I wished so much that it was just fucking Groll, so I could have just played it.
Yeah, I kind of have the same feeling with artifact decks. I've built 2 or 3, or even if they're not colorless, I've built like the artifact deck in whatever color that it is, and I just can't do it. Like mono blue artifact is like, people assume that it's that deck, and then it's like no fun because they try and target you, and it's an artifact deck, so I'm not playing hard control, counter spells, blah blah blah, right? And I've built at least 2 artifact decks that are just so finicky and dirtily and tappy, untappy, and without like comboing or just speeding out big mana into Kozilek or like Ulamog, it's like, what am I even doing? It doesn't feel like I'm doing powerful things, which I like to do.
You had Hopeless, as we call him, Hopeless of Girapur together for quite a while. I think you took it apart after I beat you with just a Jeet. If I remember correctly, I had a 2/2 with a Jeet on it, and Ryan just didn't play Magic.
I couldn't win because
that's how
I just built all my guys.
Yeah, that's how finicky those decks can be, so I can see why you would.
Yeah, I actually transformed it into Traxos, Scourge of Krug, which at that point it could beat some ass, but at its heart it was still just a finicky tap, untap, make a Thopter, sacrifice, you get a mana, tap, untap, like Unwinding Clock, all that stuff, right?
It's just an artifact deck is an artifact deck is an artifact deck at a certain point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see why those aren't necessary. Are there any other ones that are... I like Kami of the Butt Crack. It's in blue because it helmed up my clone deck. It's pretty cool, so I dug him. I like both Sakashimas. They're also
and Sakashima of 1,000 Faces might be a better clone for that clone deck with Kami of the Crescent Moon that you had.
Yeah, and because I like clones, but I don't necessarily like blue. Other than that, I try and just play what I like because I'm trying to have fun and not force things just for the sake of having that deck, right? I don't need a mono white deck to be a well-rounded player because, like I say, I have 15 decks with red in it.
And you do have several decks that do have white in them. So if there are cards or portions of the Magic kind of stratagem that you want to flex or play, you can still do that.
Absolutely, I can.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Thanks for the questions, everybody. Keep them coming. There's an Ask Me Anything channel on our Discord available to some of the patrons over at patreon.com/CCO podcast. Find the appropriate reward tier. If you pledge on that tier, you can get into the Ask Me Anything channel. Bye-bye.
Brr.